Weather Kingdom. In this update, we're going to be taking a look at the tropics, and we're going to be giving you guys your latest information. So, we do have some stuff going on. Not too much activity right now in the Atlantic, more in the East Pac and Central near Hawaii. We have a few named storms and stuff to look over there also, but the Atlantic is not fully waking up yet, but the signs have continued to get more aggressive in the longer term. Definitely for the peak. I right now what I would say what could happen is a peak the normal time, but a backloaded season, and I could see things really popping off in August and September. So right now we are taking a look at the satellite imagery here, and this was a little interesting upper level low yesterday that looked at pretty impressive on satellite. In today's form, kind of getting merged with the cold front. Nothing too much. Another thing we're going to be talking about is a piece of a boundary cold front that's going to be sitting off the east coast and the Gulf of Mexico. There is some signal for the Bermuda area and the East Coast for something tropical. That's been a thing this season with homegrown systems, and we're just going to have to wait and see. We also have a couple Kelvin wave that has come off Africa officially, and this is that kind of wave. So we got one wave embedded in here, then you got another wave right here. So these two waves are going, this wave, what I've seen on the models, this is kind of going to catch up to this one, and these two are kind of going to conjoint somewhere over here. How much drier does it take in will be the big question. Latest model on the Euro shows nothing for the MDR, but the wave could survive, make it to the Bahamas, and actually have a chance to develop. And then it goes in the Gulf, and on the latest Euro 0Z shows a hurricane. That I'm not buying yet, because that was the only first alarming run, and you have to have consecutive runs to actually have a trend. But it is something to keep a watch out here, and it just shows how favorable the Gulf and the homegrown systems are this year. They could really spin up in a hurry, and that's why we've been having a few named storms very homegrown. Dexter, I think, will happen in early August, maybe mid-August. We'll have to wait and see how the conditions are. But there is a big amount of plume of dust, and it's very visible here on when you just have this. You can just see all this drier Saharan dust layer to the north here. Not as much. I've seen it where it was pluming. I mean, all the way out here. What I can see some significant dusting is right in here. It's not like it's all the way out there, but there is some dry air. That's going to help to eliminate this piece of energy. And this one could have a shot. I mean, there is some mid-level and low-level vorticity in that wave. And I think that will stay pretty much the same and try and track over the main development region. The MJO. This is another very important piece. And this is actually the latest updated one. And very interesting stuff here. This is at NCP, and it kind of shows the MJOs in phase 7. That's why the Western Pacific is so active. Because quickly, I want to look at the National Hurricane Center. They don't have anything here. I do think things will change in the next couple days or so, maybe even a week or so. But the Eastern Pacific, you are loaded, okay? You got a 90 and 80% of another storm. You got Hurricane Iona, that's 115, a major hurricane just south of Hawaii. You got Kelly, a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm. You got another wave behind it that's 60-60, and then you got a 30%. You got 5 systems out in the East Pac, okay? We take a look at the Central Pacific, and you could definitely tell this is that latest stuff. Very warm waters, not too much cold waters, not too much dry air, very favorable. But that's very interesting when we look at that, because if we look at in Western Pacific, right now the MJO is in phases 7. Western Pacific, okay? This will go back in the neutral phase, try and peek its head out in phases 1, then go back in according to this. It changes every day, but then it kind of wants to head right into phases 1. There is a signal, and this is going to be very important, that this MJO could try and spin around in phases 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? If this happens, especially in 2, 3, and 4, this favors Africa very well, even phases 1. Phases 1, 2, 3, but the 2, 3, 4 is the strongest. The further out this goes, we can see a uptick in activity in the Atlantic. It's pretty crazy how the MJO is in phases 7, 8, where it favors the Central Pac and Western Pac, and you're getting all that favorability. And it's cooler waters. We take a look at this one. This is different. Every single one is different. The modeling. The Euro is more aggressive and has it going into deeper into phases 1 and 2. And then kind of heads back. Phases. This one, same thing. The Emon, pretty much the same thing. But the MJO will be much more favorable than it has been in the past. And look how it tries and spins in phases 2, 3. That's a possibility that we could see. And I want you guys to keep a track on that, okay? Thank you. Now I want to take a look at the ocean temperatures. So in the main development region, the waters have warmed. We are now at 28 degrees Celsius, 27 right off Africa with these waves. We are continuing to see the waters warm and more further north. That's going to help with thunderstorms, showers, and convection. Also 29 degrees Celsius near these islands, trying to get to 30. A lot more warmer in the subtropics. The waters are warming in general, okay? We take a look at the Western Caribbean and the Gulf, and wow, off the East Coast, there is 31 degrees Celsius just off the East Coast. Even all the way up to New Jersey is almost 26 degrees Celsius. All these warm waters is 30 degrees Celsius here. Very, very warm and very durable with ocean heat content for activity and especially homegrown systems, okay? I want to take a look now at the forecast models. So I want you guys to keep this in mind. Nothing is granted on these models. Every run changes, and I haven't been able to really set up a good video where I can go through models for like a live stream for hours. Alright, what I see here on the latest GFS, 2 of the couple Kelvin waves, this one's spinning, and we do see this one kind of win out on the GFS. It's a bit stronger than it has been on previous runs, but it doesn't really get its act together. We see that cold front, a lot of moisture, and you do see something tries and spin off the coast. Then you see that wave go into these areas. Never really develops, okay, on the GFS. But the wave does try and survive, and that's a big difference than previous runs. The only thing is, stays weak, kind of crashes into the islands. If it never did, I think it would have a better shot. But you could tell on the GFS, we get maybe a homegrown system, another chance there. Something in the tropics up here that tries and develop in the longer run. I mean, there is signs that the tropics ain't just all dead. There is little signal for activity. GF has been a little weird this year, and it's done a pretty good job, I guess. But shows a system tries and develops there. We get some more waves to come off, tries and develop. Never gets the full development, probably because of dry air and Saharan dust. More waves continue to come off. We see a piece of energy in the Gulf. Then we see something in the subtropics. That's 6Z. 6Z and 18Zs ain't the newest. The 0Z, let's just take a look at it for fun. Not fun, but look, see, the wave was right there, kind of, once again, crashes into the islands. We see some more low pressures off the east coast that try and develop. We also see more waves come off Africa. Let this just load in. East Pac continues to rumble, does slow down a bit because the MJO kind of goes back in that neutral phase. And there will be shots and waves according to the GFS, but I feel like it's struggling this year on some things because the European has been the more aggressive model, and usually that's not the case. Even the AI model, take it for granted, it's a new model that we're using. But Canadian kind of has the wave going into the Bahamas and then up the East Coast, and actually develops off the East Coast and rides up the eastern seaboard and goes into New England. That is very interesting. That probably will change, but that is a tropical system, okay? Or a subtropical, whatever you want to make it. The APHIS model. By the way, the Canadian only goes out 240. I'm taking this all the way out 10 plus days. So keep that in mind. Do not take anything for granted. APHIS kind of keeps this wave weak. Doesn't really do too much. Keeps it off the Bahamas. Tries and develops once again in the Bahamas. It's been showing this. And then it crashes into Florida as a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm. Goes into the Gulf. And starts developing there. And then makes landfall in the Pensacola, Florida area. As a tropical storm. And then you see another wave on the European that does a same thing, tries and develops near the Bahamas, and then we see another wave in the main development region. The APHIS has been pretty good on that so far. Now, the big thing that everyone has saw, we're going to look at 6Z and 0Z. We're going to just look at 6Z, it only goes out 150 hours, 56 hours, or 148. So only a few days, so we ain't going to get that much spinning because I don't expect activity in the next 5 days. But does show that tropical wave stays pretty amplified into the north of Puerto Rico. You can tell it's showers, thunderstorms. And this is the full way out. We kind of see that tropical wave in the Bahamas and then off the East Coast, another chance. So I think they will tag something off the East Coast, and maybe down the road with this tropical wave, something near the Bahamas. I could see that case scenario playing out compared to 6Z to 0Z at this time, and the tropical wave was a little slower, okay, and less of a chance, so a little different. But it did show the tropical wave going through Florida. And very interesting, another tropical wave comes off, and it does try and develop. So, right here, you see that storm makes it into the Gulf, just like the APHIS now. That's why I want to wait until tonight's runs on the models and see, because this tropical wave is now out, and now we're going to have to see how the models grab onto it and see if that does become a trend. The wave stays right through the Atlantic, and then once you get to the Bahamas and Florida, some development is possible, especially off the East Coast. We see one wave in the Gulf, another wave behind that one, and then another one after that. The European surprised me this morning. Take this all for granted, but there's a wave here, wave there, and a wave there in the next about 10 to 15 days. But it does try and develop into a tropical storm, and develops this one even into a tropical storm, and then a tropical depression here. I mean, look, you got a hurricane, strong tropical storm and a hurricane in the Gulf in the next 15 days or so. Tropical wave near the Bahamas, just north of Puerto Rico. Another wave in the main development region, and then another wave coming off Africa. That, and then even another subtropical cold front right there. That's an interesting run. I'm not going to take it yet to truth and reality, but there is that future peak where I'm seeing we could get very active very quick, like a 2017. That's not for granted, but something to keep an eye out, especially as we get in later in the runs, if this continues to show. I mean, you got 4 waves right there, and this one kind of it becomes a, I don't know how true this is, but you got in the next 15 days, August 12th, mid-August, a hurricane off the Louisiana's coast, tropical storm in the Bahamas, a tropical depression or storm, a weak one, just over here, and then another wave coming off Africa. And then, yeah, why does it show that? Probably because of the probably something here. There is dry air on this one and this one, but the favorability does become a little bit better. Wind shear, not as aggressive. So, I think it's all because of the MJO. And I'm about to take a look at the worlds here, and we're going to look at the MJO, because that could mean that run had a, actually, wow. That's interesting. So, it shows a favorable, okay, so it shows a favorable Africa. Okay, I know why it does show activity. It shows a favorable Africa, strong couple Kelvin waves, not the best conditions on the MJO in the in the near home, but enough to make storms, but a lot of tropical waves. That would be interesting if we do see that, because that's an interesting MJO that does pop up in the next 10 or so days, where Africa becomes active, and then boom, you got tropical waves. So if you want tropical activity that you shouldn't, a 0Z European run would be ideal, okay? The difference on the GFS, though, with the MJO is it's complete.